So you want to make your car faster. A common way to do this is with forced induction, using a turbocharger or a supercharger. Both of these devices are essentially air compressors. They work by forcing more air into your engine's cylinders. More air means you can burn more fuel. Burning more fuel creates a bigger explosion that pushes the pistons down harder. This results in more power. It's a fantastic way to boost performance. However, there's a side effect. When you compress any gas, its temperature increases. Think about pumping up a bicycle tire. The pump gets hot. The same thing happens inside a turbocharger. The compressor wheel spins at insanely high speed, sometimes over 100,000 revolutions per minute, and it squeezes the incoming air, raising pressure and creating heat. The air leaving the compressor can be scorching hot, sometimes well over 100 degrees Celsius. Hot air is less dense than cool air. Cool air, molecules close together. Hot air, molecules spread apart. Your engine cylinders are that container. Hot, less dense intake equals fewer oxygen molecules per stroke, limiting power. So your turbo is pushing more volume, but the air is expanded and less effective. One step forward, half a step back. To unlock forced induction's full potential, you must solve the heat problem. You need to cool the hot, compressed air before it reaches the engine. This is where the intercooler comes into play. It has one crucial job: to cool down the hot air coming from the turbocharger or supercharger before it enters the engine's intake manifold. Think of it as a radiator, but for the air your engine breathes, not for coolant. At its core, an intercooler is a type of heat exchanger. The main component is the core, a network of small tubes and fins. On either side of the core are the end tanks that distribute hot air across all tubes, then collect the now cooled air before sending it to the engine. The principle of operation is simple: heat transfer. As hot, compressed air travels through the intercooler's internal tubes, the heat passes from the air, through the tube walls, and into the external fins. Cooler, ambient air flows over these fins and absorbs the heat. The result is air exiting the intercooler that is substantially cooler and denser. The process effectively recovers the density that was lost when the air was heated. The intercooler acts as the intermediate cooler, placed between the compressor stage and the engine's combustion stage. The fundamental components remain the same: a core to facilitate heat exchange, end tanks to manage airflow, an inlet where hot air enters, an outlet where cool air exits, and mounting brackets to hold the assembly securely in place. This simple device is what makes modern turbocharged engines so incredibly powerful and efficient, turning the byproduct of heat into a manageable variable. The primary reason an intercooler makes your car faster is all about air density. Cooler air is denser air, and this has a direct impact on power output. Denser air means more oxygen molecules packed inside the same cylinder volume. Your engine's ECU measures incoming air and injects fuel for the optimal ratio. When the intercooler does its job, dense air contains much greater mass of oxygen. The ECU senses the larger mass and injects more fuel to match. The result? A much more powerful combustion event in each cylinder. Each explosion pushes the piston harder, creating more torque and horsepower. On a typical turbocharged car, air leaving the turbo might be 120 degrees Celsius. An efficient intercooler can drop that to around 40 degrees Celsius. That temperature drop can increase air density by 15 to 20%. A 20% increase in oxygen can yield about 20% more power. The sequence: turbo compresses air, compression makes it hot and less dense, intercooler cools it, making it dense again, and finally cool, dense air enters the engine for dramatic performance gains. Intercoolers primarily come in two main types, each defined by the medium used to draw heat away: air to air, air to water. The most common type uses ambient air to cool the hot charge air, typically mounted at the front of the vehicle or on top of the engine with a hood scoop. Their biggest strength is simplicity: no moving parts, minimal plumbing, reliable and cost-effective. The main weakness is dependence on vehicle speed for airflow. In stop-and-go traffic or during idling, cooling efficiency drops. This is heat soak. Front-mount setups often require long piping runs, which can add slight throttle lag. The second type is air-to-water, more complex but with distinct advantages. It uses liquid coolant, usually water and antifreeze. The intercooler unit is much smaller and can be placed close to the engine intake. This setup includes the intercooler core, a separate radiator, a pump to circulate coolant, and a reservoir. Hot charge air heats the liquid, which is pumped to the radiator, cooled by ambient air, then circulated back. Primary strength: consistent cooling regardless of vehicle speed, great for short bursts and low-speed situations. Short piping also improves throttle response. However, they are more complex, heavier, and more expensive. They introduce more potential failure points like the pump, hoses, and secondary radiator. The choice between the two comes down to intended use, packaging constraints, and budget. While the headline benefit is increased horsepower and torque, intercoolers prevent engine knock or detonation. Knock occurs when the air-fuel mixture ignites prematurely due to excessive heat and pressure. This creates destructive shock waves that can severely damage pistons, connecting rods, and bearings. By cooling intake air, an intercooler makes the mixture more stable and resistant to detonation. Another benefit is performance consistency. Without an intercooler, performance can be frustratingly inconsistent. On a cool day, the car feels strong, but on hot days or after hard accelerations, the ECU pulls back timing and reduces boost to prevent knock, causing power loss. This heat soak makes the car feel sluggish. An efficient intercooler keeps intake temperature stable, ensuring consistent performance. The intercooler is far more than just a power adder. It is a critical engine support system. By functioning as a radiator for your intake air, it cools the charge from the compressor, making it dense and oxygen-rich, allowing the engine to burn more fuel for more power. It enhances reliability by preventing knock, improves fuel efficiency through complete combustion, and delivers consistent performance regardless of operating conditions. So next time you see that grille behind a performance car's bumper, you'll know it's not just for looks, it's the simple device that makes forced induction strong, safe, and effective.